All right, good afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to catch up with Bison football. Obviously, we're extremely excited to be preparing and to be in another winter camp here at in North Dakota State. We're preparing for an outstanding opponent. A lot of respect for Coach Vegan and his program. Obviously, they're the number one ranked team in the country and undefeated. Quickly, just looking back on last week, I thought last week's game and performance. Not only was it great to win the game, but to be part of such a well played, well coached football game with guys that played so hard was really an honor to be part of. Currently, we're preparing right now for practice number 5 today. Our work has been very enthusiastic. I think our kids are showing up not only to practice but to meetings, treatment, nutrition, weight room stuff with the right intent, and looking forward to the preparation the rest of the way. But I'm really encouraged by how we've done our work so far. With that being said, I look forward to answering any questions.
Corey Hogue, go ahead, get us started.
Coach, thank you so much and congratulations on making it to the national title game. I have a two-part question here. I noticed you have 4 players who played with Texas high school football. I'm with Dave Campbell's Texas football. If I didn't mention that, I do apologize. I noticed you have 4 players who played Texas high school football. How important has it been for you to recruit Texas? And how much has being in this national championship game so often allowed you to kind of recruit some of these players from Texas?
Yeah, I would answer the question by saying this. With the frequency that we've been down there, and we've been fortunate going all the way back to 2011, as our brand continued to grow nationally, we felt like starting in Frisco, in the Frisco area, Dallas, was very important for us in the recognizability and trying to get in there and to start to cultivate some back and forth knowledge. Us gaining knowledge on high school football in Texas, them gaining knowledge on how we operate and how we run our football program would be critical. And I think Texas is a big part of it. When Craig Bowl was here back in 2003, 4, 5, 6, I know early on a lot of the staff members had experience in Houston. Coach Bowl recruited Texas quite often in his travels, whether it was Nebraska or at Rice. And so, I think the whole country would love to take advantage of the great high school football played in Texas. Right now, we focus primarily on Frisco, and then we kind of work our way out from there. And we try to keep it pretty tight so that our reputation is known. We want to be known in those areas, and we want to know the area very well. And we've been very fortunate to come across some really good players.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Jeff Kolpak, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff Kolpak at the Forum in Fargo. Tim, describe the season that Ryan Jones has had and his play of late, and what happened there. What's the difference?
Yeah, I felt it's interesting because you get into fall camp and sometimes maybe the mundane catches up with, just the repetitions and team periods. I thought Ryan was off to a good start in fall camp, was carving out, not only opportunity on special teams, but with the defense as we occurred some injuries and things there. And then, Ryan would probably tell you he didn't play his best football, but the thing you appreciate about it is Ryan's just continued to improve. He's continued to become more and more confident, especially coming up and supporting the run. And I know you guys made comments after the game. I had no idea that he had played that type of game. When I went back and watched the TV copy against South Dakota State, in the semifinals, that second play of the game, Ryan is 2 yards deep in the backfield making that play, and just so impressed with his ability to stick to it, really impressed with how good of a student he is academically, and then just continuing to compete and improve. He's gotten better and better, Jeff.
What's going to be like going against an old cohort like Brent Vegan?
I think it's, I texted him the other night. I just said, Brent, this is pretty cool. I don't know if it'll get to like an emotional spot for us, but we have gotten tighter and tighter over the years. I think it's really cool for Coach Bowl and his tree and the legacy of it. And just watching the Montana State team play, there's still some of those old defensive, keys and characteristics are there and how they play defense with the 4 down front. And then offensively, I think it's really cool to see Brent just free up his offensive coordinator to just continue to be aggressive, calling quarterback runs, really dynamic run game, obviously. And all the shot plays that come off of it. But pretty neat. I mean, pretty cool. Brent and Molly are good friends of ours. Obviously we purchased their house when we moved to Wyoming, and so there's some history there. I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Finally, well, you just kind of alluded to it with you and your wife and your family. Has it been different this year as being the head coach and being on this ride as compared to assistant?
Yeah, I think so. I think I knew there would be more time allocation, away from watching practice tape and focused on scheme and plays and those kind of things. And so that's probably pulled a little bit of time away from her. But overall, us being back in North Dakota and her home state, a lot of friends and family, just more regional here than it was at Wyoming. That's been a blessing. I just love to compete, and I love watching our coaches coach. I love watching the players compete and improve, and being able to step back, and get a 20,000-foot view at practice instead of being right up in there with a position group actually has been real enjoyable, and I hope to continue to improve.
Okay, thank you.
Devin Fry.
Kevin Fry with Valley News Live here in Fargo. Coach, the first thing a lot of people are going to think of with this game is the quarterback matchup, Millett versus Miller. When you have two Walter Payton finalists going head-to-head here, just how exciting is that to see these two really good quarterbacks be able to go head-to-head with this much on the line?
Yeah, good question. We're on day 5, right? So we're pretty deep into the preparation. And I want to do everything I can so that it doesn't come down to one or two guys, right? It's about 3 units going out there. But, man, with their kicker, I don't know if you'll have an opportunity to get a kick return. With their punter, I don't know how many opportunities you're going to have in the punt return game. And so maybe that gets negated, right? And then it does come down to which quarterback not only plays really well, but in big moments, in impactful situations, the gold zone, and on third downs, whoever performs the best there and gives their team an opportunity to stay on the field is going to have the best chance to win this game. I can really only speak on Cam and what I've seen of Tommy. I think Cam is practicing really well, and I think he's going to play great.
And it goes beyond just Tommy, too, with this Montana State offense. Coach Olsen kind of talks about defending them like a triple option type offense. Where does the most pressure go on your guys' defensive side?
I think on the run-pass conflicts, not RPOs. They have some of that stuff. But it's the pause player, maybe the linebackers, the boundary safety, the safeties. I mean, all these guys that we ask to support the run, not only versus running backs and potentially even receivers, you have to account for the quarterback. And so it's the run-pass conflict and the concepts that they deploy in the run game with the complementary play actions. Sometimes it gets to be even a little bit gadget type plays, the pops and the hits. I mean, just the run-pass conflict, they do an unbelievable job. I mean, it all starts with the run game. It all starts with Tommy. I mean, they've rushed for 300 yards per game. Tommy's well over, 3,500 yards total. And so I think what we have to do is try to cultivate as many opportunities to square him up as possible, and tackle and be physical and make him work and grind during the game. But then we have to be very conscientious of these pop plays, these wheels, and all the conflict they kind of create with their quarterback run game.
Thanks, Coach.
Craig Haley.
Yeah, yes, thank you. Coach, appreciate your time. Sorry about that. When you step back into the NDSU program, you're kind of stepping into a situation where this is where you want to be every year, that kind of pressure. How is that different at NDSU, and how do you embrace that kind of championship or bust mentality?
Well, I think ultimately it really does help you navigate through communicating to young players. Hey, here is the standard. This is the expectation of not only the community, but the BFPA, right, the Bison Football Players Association. The former players have laid down such an unbelievable standard here, going all the way back to '65. It's not just about the Division I era. But I think when you have that kind of history and there's that kind of pride, and we call it Bison pride, we can get that instilled into the younger guys maybe faster than a program that doesn't have that kind of history. That's beneficial. Okay, now can we practice in fall camp and practice during a week of preparation, knowing that we're going to get our opponent's best shot every week, and take that intensity level to the spot that it needs to be to captivate all the goals that we have, that's another question, right? We got to work at that daily. And so much of it for us is embracing the standard. We have a saying around here, bring on the competition, but it also is playing to the standard. When we play to the standard, typically that's gone pretty good for us, and then you got to tip your hat if you ever do come up short. For me and myself, I'm an extremely competitive guy. I think our staff is competitive. Recruiting competitive people into the program, not only players, but the equipment staff, the supporting role, the supporting cast. Having a great deal of pride is a big part of our program, and I wouldn't want it any other way. Our administration has provided the opportunity, facilities-wise, with support. Our Green and Gold Collective is doing a good job to keep us competitive, and therefore, we got to go out and lace them up every day and go to work, and we embrace it more than pressure is a privilege, and it's about eliminating anxiety, just like this game will be, and that all comes down to preparation.
Coach, considering your friendship with Coach Vigan, what do you give him a hard time about? Anything in particular?
Oh, probably some of the old 3-on-3 basketball games that we used to have. I think Brent was Mr. Basketball in the state of North Dakota. And he's got a great jump shot, but we weren't moving around as well as we used to probably. I got so much respect for him. I'm kind of struggling to find the things that we'd pick at each other about. He's a guy that every year at the convention we're going to meet up, have an hour, 2 hour, 3 hour conversation. Really enjoy his family. Good to see his sons grow up and become monsters like he is as far as height and weight. Has been really special. Obviously the relationship changes when you're going to play because you're not sharing ideas and thoughts. But over the years, even going back to the years I was at Iowa, we shared a lot of time together in cultivating concept and program philosophy, and he's meant a lot to me. He taught me a lot in the years of 2010 and 11 and 12 when he was the coordinator here.
Thank you, Coach.
Aaron Walling.
Coach, obviously your team's getting ready for, this January, big game for you guys, but, what can you say about the growth that you've seen from your roster from fall camp to where they're at right now?
Yeah, really paying a lot of attention right now, not only to the preparation for Montana State. I'm not trying to push that to the side, but, really watching our 2 O-line right now, there's been some really good development. There's been some real moments of growth where a kid, maybe 2 weeks ago didn't handle a twist game as good as he did yesterday. And to see those guys continue to improve, I think, it would be outstanding. We've missed Cole Payton, right? It'd be outstanding to have him out there with us, but Nathan has really capitalized on all the repetitions he's getting, and you're seeing him grow each and every day. And then I think the whole back end, the corners and the safeties, you're seeing development. And I want to say this too. I'll give credit to our scout D-line. We don't have 12 guys down there right now. We have about, 6, 7 guys, and they're taking a crazy amount of reps, and they're being tough as heck, and they're representing what it looks like to be a Bison. And so you take great joy in that, and that's a critical part of this whole national championship run is what we call as winter camp. And we've asked all those young guys to be very conscious of moving forward before we get into winter conditioning and then spring ball. I mean, if they're going to push up into the depth on the team, they got to capitalize on this now, and I think we are seeing some good growth.
Coach, it's no secret you love offensive line play. What's it like being able to watch, NDSU strengths and Montana State's strengths on the O-line?
Yeah, it's good, right? I mean, they got 2 All-Americans. I think we have 2 All-Americans. We've got a center that's really coming on and playing better and better. I think the same for those guys. I think they have 4 guys that had honors, with all conference and so forth. And both teams, I mean, that's what I would say. Al Johnson is a friend, and he's doing a heck of a job coaching the O-line there. But the DNA of their program, the things that are important and the things that matter to us, I really believe Brent's doing those things as well at a high level. It's his program now, and you're seeing the development of offensive line. You're seeing the development of D-line, linebackers. So they're obviously practicing very physical like we do, and it's fun to watch. There's good offensive linemen. I'll tell you this, in the semifinals and this game, wow, why are those 4 teams there? I think the line of scrimmage says a lot about how both teams play in this matchup, and then the 2 previous, the South Dakota teams play good up front as well.
All right, and Coach, final question I have for you is, you've had players step up, that have taken on larger roles, especially during the playoffs. Players like Pontius. How important is it that these guys have really bought into, hey, when it's your time to step up, they deliver for you guys.
Yeah, you talk a lot about that, and ironically, right, you look back on the season, I mean, we're missing a lot of really good, important pieces, and they're so important for us when they're out there, right, supporting the guys, coaching the guys, still providing leadership. But we've had many, many, many guys that have had to step up this year, and all of a sudden role players are starters. Starters, become superstars, well-known names. I just think it's evidence that if you stick to it at a place and you trust coaching and you show up and you're coachable and you buy into your teammates, that is success. That's a great college experience. And we have a lot of guys that are doing that right now. Hunter's just a really good example. And ironically, he's replacing Jake Rock, whose story isn't that much different. And so that's kind of been the Bison way, as far as I understand it. Next man up mentality. It's what is important for the team. We, us, and our. If you embrace that it's cool to be part of this community and part of the Bison culture and the Bison history, good things are going to happen for you.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Eric Peterson.
Hey, Coach, just describe the year that Eli Mostert has had on the D-line and just kind of what his value overall has been to your defense.
Yeah, I would sum it up probably real consistently explosive, right? He's found a moment or two in every game to be in the backfield for a big TFL or a sack. I think his leadership and I think his demeanor has gotten better and better, too. What I mean by that is he's finding ways to channel all that great energy instead of fighting or arguing. He's now leading and leading by example and coaching up the young guys. I think he's been tremendous. It's been really fun getting to know Eli. Me and him have worked on a couple different projects in the summer with some of his internship stuff. There's a man that's going to be really successful, and I think he's going to make a good run at the NFL. But when that's over, there's going to be a lot of success for that kid, just based on how he shows up and does the work. It was really cool to hear him talk about Coach Gazer and their relationship. And the appreciation that he has for everybody in the program.
Thank you.
Coulter Nuanez.
Hey, Coulter Nuanez from Skyline Sports. Congratulations on the success this year, Coach. First of all, I wanted to follow up about Cam Miller, just a guy that has stayed this whole time and been such a great player all along, but having such an awesome senior year. How has he reached this level as one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football?
Yeah, obviously he's got good training. Randy Hedberg is, obviously his resume, the people that he's helped become the best they can become is pretty impressive, especially for a FCS school. I'd put it up there against others that are at the higher levels. He's taken advantage of that. The one thing I hope Cam says is that he embraced any change. All right, and then he let us know what doesn't fit his eye, what he doesn't want to play through, or the concepts that maybe he doesn't like as much as us coaches. And oh, by the way, that's the most important thing. The quarterback's got to like to play the concept. And I kind of learned that the hard way over the last 3 or 4 years. But I think he embraced any nuance that we wanted to bring to the forefront. And then that maybe has opened up his mind and seeing some things differently. I think we've done a really good job with our full field progressions, building progressions for him. And he's just continued to improve playing through progression football and understanding football. And then I must say that his command over protections has, as far as I'm concerned, he's owned it with what we're trying to do. And that allows you to play quarterback if you can get yourself protected and understand hots and, blitzers that are free. He really has a good understanding of that. And then I love his consistent leadership, and that's allowed him to continue to be a player that improves. I don't think he probably one time has had a disruption in practice where he flips out or he gets frustrated. He just is really steady Eddie, and he's a consistent worker. That's probably the thing that has allowed him to improve all these years.
And then on the other side, you mentioned all the trickery and all the things that Montana State does in the run game, but just the pure speed of the quarterback, how much of a weapon do you think that is? How much does it sort of enhance what they do offensively?
Well, I think his ability to one-cut slashing type runner with that speed and size, right? Like this is, I don't know why my mind's going to Air Force, but, you got to tackle this guy. You got to, some of the guys that we've seen in the past, Tim Tebow and things like that. Tommy's a really good football player, but the combination of the size and the speed, and when I say size, I know he's not a huge guy, but he's strong, right? And he's built well. He kind of reminds me of Jordan Lynch, and I was around him in 2013, and Jordan finished third for the Heisman, and he was just a tough out. And I think all the +1 run game, I think the schemes that they do deploy, creates opportunity for Tommy to be in space and to be in one-on-ones, and he's an athlete, and it can be a matchup issue. We got to keep him boxed up as much as we can.
Bryce Lance seems like he's really come on lately for you guys. What has allowed him to reach this next level that he's playing at right now?
Well, I think he's a gifted young man with size and speed. I remember seeing him, I think, when he was really young, when I went and watched Trey Lance throw as a sophomore. And, okay, this guy's going to have a similar frame and those kind of things. Like a lot of our guys, just the consistent approach, being open to being coached, hard, being open to improving, kind of hanging in there, waiting, for your opportunities to come, and then be ready when those opportunities do come, right? We talk about that. Like, in our program, we want everybody to capitalize when they get their opportunity and never to look back. Bryce continues to work really hard. Obviously, in the past, he must have been working pretty hard to improve, and then all of a sudden he gets his shot. He's just capitalized on the opportunities, quite frankly. And he'll continue to get bigger and stronger and faster as well.
Last one for me. Usually with freshman running backs, getting them to the end is the hardest part, right? Because they have to go through so many different just adjustments to the D1 game. How have you gotten Jamar Brown to this point, and what do you think of the fact that there's two great freshman running backs on either side in this football game?
Well, I think that's probably one position, as we get into this day and age of the portal and so forth and so on, running backs can contribute. I think the further away from the line of scrimmage you play, you got a shot as a freshman. But we call him Marty. Marty works extremely hard. He runs hard every day. He shows up with a smile on his face. And Barika and TK have really helped him to show him how to practice, and that's probably what's allowed him to continue to grow and develop late in the season.
We got about 5 more minutes here. Greg Rochick, you're up next.
Yeah, hi Tim. Greg Rockhatch from Montana Sports. Just curious how much you're personally looking forward to this opportunity. I think you're the 4th NDSU coach to, bring the team to this stage. So, how cool is this for you?
You do everything you can as a leader to not make it about yourself or things that you want to get accomplished individually. And that's not coach speak. This game will be about the players. It's an honor to be part of it with them and to help them reach their full potential. For me, it's interesting. Because our players prepare and practice so hard and they care about each other so much, I have not been nervous or anxious for a game yet. I'm hoping that'll be the case this week. For me, it's just another opportunity to be down there with a great group of guys, another senior group of guys, another good Bison football team, and to do everything I can to help them and position them to win the game. We're always looking as a staff, to position our players so that it's a player's game and that they get the most out of it. Obviously, as a head coach and for our staff, it's something that, we want to be part of and we want to be down there. It means a lot.
Thank you.
Stephen Hawkins.
Coach Stephen Hawkins with the AP in Texas. You mentioned a minute ago, we were talking about the quarterbacks, but what does it say in this day and age to have two veteran quarterbacks who have been through a lot and have probably had some opportunities maybe to go other places that are still here and playing for a championship?
Well, obviously they went to the places that have a strong culture, good communities. They must have, surrounded themselves around really good teammates that they love and they care for, because we all know what opportunities are out there for players, for coaches, and it's hard to dig in and to believe in the big picture. I think what I hope comes out of this is everybody watching this game, that's going to be a really good football game. They see two guys that are leaders of their clubs that have had the opportunity to reach their full potential, now have mastered a system. And wherever they end up, whether it's the Arena League or the UFL or the NFL, they're going to have a foundation that they can fall back on that's solid, that others that bounced around will not have and will struggle to learn NFL protections, will struggle to understand NFL run game. Okay, so I encourage every young person out there, stay where you're at, dig in and reach your full potential and believe in the people around you. Okay, master a system.